even if you take away one thing and that one thing helps you, crack a code in your business, then I feel like we've gotten success. Well, welcome guys. How many of you guys are excited?
Yeah.
Alright, so the whole goal of this is to really make sure that you guys understand e-commerce, the mindset behind it, really what happens with Shopify stores, how to scale, how to actually create online businesses, and to get you guys better prepared and network and just like masterminding with a whole group of cool people like us, and so we can all learn from each other. So I created a 10-step plan. The first step is how to map out your goals. And this I feel like is very, very important, mapping out your goals. How many of you guys have actually done that? Like map it out like a roadmap. Like this is what I'm gonna do here, okay? Next year I'm gonna do this, or even a month from now I'm gonna do this. It's very important to map out your goals. I didn't do this, and I didn't used to do this. And when I didn't, I was all over the place. I couldn't focus. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be, and I just wanted to keep learning all these different shiny objects, right? It's not going to work that way. So very important to map out your goals. Now, in the first page, you guys are going to see basically how to map out your goals, right? Map out your goals: 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure goals. This came from a book called The One Thing. And I'd recommend that you guys read that book as well. It's called The One Thing. And it talks to you guys about what is that one thing that's going to help you get to your 5-year goal, right? So for me, my 5-year goal is this, and I need to get to this. How am I going to get there? I have a 1-year goal, I have a 5-year goal, then it goes to my 1-year goal. Then what am I going to do with my 1-month goal, my 1-week goal, and my 1-day goal, and my now goal? So your now goals, what are you going to do now? And you guys are here, you're learning, this is your goal, so that you can, tomorrow you can implement it, right? In 1 week, you can implement even more. In 1 month, you could be at this stage because you've implemented that week. And so when you train your brain, and that's what the book talks about, when you train your brain to continuously think about what I'm going to do today, 1 week from now, 1 month from now, 1 year, 5 years, and that one month goal will eventually end up to your 5-year goal. It's building up to your 5-year goal. Whatever you're doing that 1 month, whether it's building a Shopify store, whether it's making your first 6 figures month, that's a 1 month goal. What's the 5-year goal? What is that real 5-year goal? Is it to build a big business? Is it to buy a nice house? Is it to buy that Lamborghini? Whatever it is, right? What's that 5-year goal that you're working towards? So that's that one thing what it mentions. And a lot of times, especially in this business, I get sidetracked a lot, right? There's opportunities come up, and I'm like, okay, should I focus on this? Should I focus on that? I have to actually. I've had people come up to me and say, hey, we can make $1 million if you just did it. I had to actually deny them because of time. Like, I just don't have the time for that. I don't have the bandwidth, right? So you got to find out if you do have the bandwidth for it, and if it's worth it, and if you see that if it's congruent to whatever you're doing. So a lot of times it's all about congruency as well. Like, we're building Shopify stores, right? I started with Shopify stores. Now we're doing the coaching. So it's all congruent to what we're doing, our 5-year goal, right? Shopify is a $1 billion company. We're one of Shopify's top sellers or whatever, right? Affiliates. We're one of the top affiliates, my ecom club. We build out 500 stores a month from Shopify. So, and they're all like paid members and things like that. So what is that 5-year goal, right? The now goal. Let's take the store to 6 figures a month, right? That's the week. That's the month goal actually. How do I get to that 1 month goal? Now you're really focusing on that 1 month goal. It's called the one thing. So you're focused on that one thing to get to that 1 month goal, which then will propel you to a 5-year goal, which all builds up to that 5-year goal. So I want you guys to really just map it out. I want to so and so. I will realistically achieve this by, and give yourself a date. That's very important. Give yourself a date. Like, by June of next year, I want to make multi-6 figures a month. Now, what am I going to do what am I going to do this month to be able to hit that, right? So realistically, write down those goals. And when you write it down, it becomes something that you're going to do. Like Court here, he has a picture of a Huracan, right? Lamborghini Huracan. And that's what he wants to do. That could be your 1 year goal. That could be your 5 year goal. That could be any of those. Like you picture that, and what do you have to do this month to get that? And you basically, I'm going to go over the $1 million math as well. To make $1 million, you got to make $83,000 a month. So what do I have to do to make $83,000 a month? What do I have to do to make $2,730 a day to make $1 million bucks? How do I get there, right? That's what you have to. That's what you have to do. And these are the goals that you guys have to set up for yourself. Congratulations. All right. So the $1 million math in the next page. Do you have a book, Anthony? Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yeah, I just have.
All right. Yeah. So the $1 million math, right? This is very important. Also, like my passions, my strengths. What am I really good at? Are you good at graphic design? Are you good at, most of us aren't, right? I mean, Anthony is like the graphic design pro, but like, are you good at graphic design? If you're not, how do you get graphic designers, right? Or how do you get graphic designs created? So what's that process? What are my passions? What am I really passionate about? Like, am I passionate about, shoes? Or am I passionate about t-shirts? Or am I passionate about jewelry, okay? What are you really passionate about? Now you take that passion, you take that strength, and you do the $1 million math, all right? My passion is t-shirts. I don't know, my strengths are not in graphic design. My strength is in building the business and scaling. That's my strengths. The products and services that I can provide myself, products and services that I would need in order to achieve this goal, in order to achieve that $1 million goal, right? So you take a look at the math. I have to sell 100,000 $10 products, 50,000 $20 products, 20,000 $50 products, yeah, and then 10,000 $100 products. So it's a lot easier to sell 10,000 100 products than 100,000 $10 products, right? But how do you even get to that 100,000, 10,000 $100 products? And in the masterminds, in the webinars, I talk about increasing your AOV, increasing your customer return rate. So how do we even increase our AOV? That's very important also. It's very difficult to scale a business without increasing that AOV. I mean, Jimmy is like an exception. His AOV is like 13 bucks, right? But he's able to scale really fast. Yeah, he's able to scale really fast.
What's AOV?
AOV is average order value. So what is my average order value? Like when a customer comes in, how much do they spend?
This is 13.
It's 13 bucks, yeah.
And it stores over 7.
Yeah, 700,000. But his store, imagine if he were able to take.
It's a lot of product.
Yeah, it's a lot of product. But imagine if he was able to take that and basically get that AOV from 13 bucks to $26.
Yeah.
He'd be at 1.4 million.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're able to take that, even triple that AOV, he'd be like 2 million, 3 million, right? So that's the importance of increasing that AOV. So that's why I put this math here. 10,000 of $100 products, a lot easier to sell than 100,000 $10 products. So as you're doing e-commerce, as you're doing any business, the whole goal is to increase that AOV, right? You're gonna see in a second with Ricky. Basically, what we used to do, we used to sell $47 products. But we worked so hard, we were like climbing up a hill like this, pushing a boulder, right? We worked so hard selling the $47 products. And then we figured out that, hey, if we sold like, and then we became a car, like if we just sold $2,000 products, we can just take the car up, right? And that's exactly what we did. We went from $47 products in the affiliate space, and we started selling $2,000 products, and we were able to scale to multi-seven figures. So a $2,000 product, you need to sell $1,000 products to make $1 million bucks. We did that multiple times, right? So it's a lot easier. And then once you figure things out, you figure things that it's easy for me to sell the higher ticket stuff. How do I get to that higher ticket stuff? How can I push myself, even e-commerce, right? How can I push myself to the higher AOVs? And that's what you really want to get into, is that higher AOV. So I want to talk to you guys about my figuring things out theory. And I'm pretty sure you guys know this as well. Like, most of the time we end up not doing what we wanted to do, right? And that's the case. Like we end up starting with Shopify stores, but then we end up not doing Shopify stores as our main business. We might end up doing like maybe consulting is our main business, maybe coaching is our main business. So we might pivot different ways, or maybe Shopify stores turns into more of like a branding thing, or now Shopify stores you go into wholesale. Okay, we pivot all the time. We never end up doing exactly what we want to do. So if you put the goal, like this is very important for the 5-year goal. If your 5-year goal is something like, I want to make $1 million within 5 years. If you put that as a goal, you're gonna always constantly pivot, because in order for you to make $2,700 a day, which is to make $1 million a year, you're gonna constantly pivot. If your Shopify store is not doing $2,700 a day, then create another Shopify store, right? Then do something else to get that $2,700 a day. Because honestly, I don't care if it's Shopify, I don't care if it's like consulting, I don't care what it is, as long as I'm getting that $2,700 a day, I'm fine with it. It could be Shopify, it could be anything. And so this is why I came up with my figuring things out theory. Because usually what happens there is that I tend to go into a business, and let me just give you guys an example. My first business was creating blogs, okay? I created blogs for people, and we call these things authority blogs. And we built them out, and they ranked really well on Google. And we had I had a blog that was bringing 15,000 unique visitors per day. It was a piano blog. You guys can look it up on Archive. It's called Pianow, PIANOW.com. You can see it like back when I created it. You saw all the posts, 15,000 uniques per day. I had to like get a big server, like $1,500 server on KnownHost. And that kept crashing because it couldn't keep up with the demand. But eventually what happened with that blog was that I was selling piano stuff on there, right? I was putting banner ads for piano stuff, but people weren't buying it. So I had to split test multiple things. I ended up selling Android phones, because that was the one that was making the money for that site. It was pulling in $200 net per day
On the piano side?
on the piano site, selling Android phones. Like all of the banners were Android phones. And at that time I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and we were dating, my wife and I I was like, hey, look, I just hit like $200 a day. This is so freaking awesome. And like back then, like $200 a day net, automatic, that was pretty cool. And going, in college, and she was in college, and I was, still working on my blogs and stuff. But that was pretty cool. So that was my first business. And what happened with that business was that I wanted to sell it, right? So I found an investor, and that investor wanted to pay cash. I think it was like $140,000 cash for that entire business of me selling like the authority stuff. So she was ready to write the check. I had two options though. I had two buyers come up to me. One buyer said, I own a multi-million-dollar company. We do about $2 million a year or something like that. And his partner just sold his company for $400 million. And so they wanted to jump in my business, and because they saw the potential in it. And so, basically that happened, and I refused this lady's check for $140,000, whatever, right? I refused that check, and I said, I'm gonna join these guys here, these multi-millionaire guys, and I want to see what they can do. So we pivoted the entire business. We pivoted from authority blogs to now an agency. And a whole year goes by. I had employees, I had the office, I had everything in Salt Lake City. I had the office, employees, like assistants, whatever. Everything you needed in like a corporate environment, because these guys came from a corporate environment. Ended up failing for a whole year. Squat, like we lost a lot of money. And then I lost that opportunity to sell the business, right? And I lost a lot of money in that, but the process took me to where I learned how corporate lifestyle works. So now I'm pivoting, I'm like changing direction all the time. So this is my figuring things out theory. You're never ever gonna figure out, you're never ever gonna be where you expected yourself to be. You're gonna always constantly pivot until you make that $2,700 a day to make $1 million consistently, to make $1 million a year, right? So you're constantly pivoting. So what happened there was, it was actually a blessing because I did that. Now, because I did that, I met my best salesperson in that company. And he worked in that company for me in Salt Lake City. He worked for me, and basically his name was Rocky, right? You guys know who Rocky is, some of you guys. So his name is Rocky. And basically Rocky, I decided to create another company. We did really well, and this is where Ricky came in. We did really well, and we hit $1.3, $1.4 million in a year, and then we went on to doing $2 million, and then basically we split up again, but Rocky was still my right-hand guy. Rocky was basically my sales guy, chat support, everything. He was my right-hand guy. And that's I'm going to teach you guys about chat later on as well, live chat, and how Rocky closed $50,000 in a 2-day promo. He closed $50,000 just on live chat. I want to show you guys how he did that, and how you can do that with your e-commerce business as well. So we went on and did that. We pivoted, and from an agency model, we pivoted into more of like we pivoted into the done for you Shopify model, and that was with Ricky and the webinars and everything else like that. So we went and did 1.4 million on that product, and then Rocky. So we moved to New Jersey, and I said, hey Rocky, so we have this option here. You can stay in Salt Lake, probably not going to work out, or you can move with us to New Jersey. So he moved with us to New Jersey. He was living at our house for a whole year, and he was doing sales closes, close. And during that entire 1 to 2 year period, we were figuring things out. We went from agency model to back to the done for you model. We were figuring things out, right? At that point, I didn't care, like whatever it took. And I was also doing Shopify stores at the same time as well. So at that same time, like I didn't care whatever it was, as long as I was able to hit my 1 year goal, my 5 year goals. And I didn't even think about it at that time. I never thought about like the 1 year, 5 year goal. I always thought about how can we make like $1 million, and I never really mapped it out either, which was my biggest mistake, because we were all over the place. We're like, oh, let's try this, let's try that, no, let's try this. We didn't have that one thing, that one focus, and we basically ended up like not doing very well. But Rocky, he closed out a lot of sales. I think we were doing like about $400,000 a year in sales, and Rocky closed like 80% of it, and he only worked like nine months out of the year. Like we took him on vacations all over the place, and he still made like 80 grand a year, right? So from there, because of Rocky, I was able to meet Mike G, right? So I was able to meet Mike, and Mike came up to me and he's like, I really like your product, I really like how you present things, I really like this whole process, and I feel like you're a winner, let's do business. Now here comes my econ club. Now we're doing almost $2 million a month, right? Yeah, so we're always pivoting. Yeah, so we're always pivoting, right? Whatever you're doing, you got to just keep pivoting until you get and reach your goals. A lot of us, we come into this business not knowing what to do, not knowing what's working out there, not knowing how Shopify works, or not even knowing how to scale, or like Court shared with me a really great story last night. When we all come from different backgrounds, and the whole point of that is to be able to just keep pushing ourselves up. And without a mentor, without someone to help you do that, or without any guidance, I get guidance from elsewhere too. Like if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room, right? I'm getting guidance from like people like Grant Cardone. I'm getting guidance from people like Ricky. I'm getting guidance from people like like Mike's, the Mikes. So I'm always getting guidance from someone to show me where to go. And I feel like that's very important. So my figuring things out theory, you never end up doing what you originally thought you would do. Like even with Jimmy, right? You want to share some things with that, Jimmy?
Even like you touched on the stuff with my econ club, like I'm sure none of you guys thought that when you started that you'd end up coaching people, and a lot of you even pretty early. But even for something as simple as me, with like the niche I chose, I think I'm targeting men. 2 months later, I'm like, oh no, it's women is the market that I need to go after. Even with product, you may think a lot of people have in their mind, they see how a product that has 10,000 orders, like okay, this is the one, and some people even like obsess over it and spend too much money on a certain product. But I tested multiple products, and like what you start with is the first product I started with versus the product I winner now, completely different. Still within the same general niche, but I started off targeting men with very specific product. Now I'm targeting women, something that's the two endpoints are unrelated, under the same umbrella. But from where I started to where I am today, things are always shifting. You have to be agile.
I remember that too. Like if you were to stuck with that product,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
I could have made sales. It was making me sales. It was good to build my data. I got a couple hundred sales out of it. But yeah, so the first couple products I got a couple hundred sales. At this point, I have 40,000 orders. So going back to that point, I started off advertising towards like, you know, kind of like the meathead, like power lifter, like, you know, gym bros. And now I'm advertising like essentially yoga pants, things like that, women's fitness apparel. It's completely different. So still generally within the same niche, but it goes back to your point, like we start kind of niche general, but then once you find out who your winner is, then you just go all in with that. So I don't even advertise. I haven't advertised towards a male in 6 months.
See that, guys? He started with males, now he's all females.
Did you switch to an additional store or do it in the same store?
So you can't. So I'm actually in the process of doing that now because because the way that I built my store originally was so I could do male and female. So what I want to do is that I actually already created the second store, which is just female specific. Because even the name of my store isn't necessarily, it's kind of like gender neutral, but I wanted to create a new store. Even the domain and the branding of the store is more obvious that it's a women's store.
Are you using Zara for the logo?
I haven't done the logo yet. That's probably the last stuff I need to do. But yes, I mean that's the next step.
So
It's
your
just
success is all one store up to this moment.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And so the thing is, and what I plan to do is open it, but keep the other one running. I may even take the first one and go back to mails because now I have all this data, you know, and I can go back to mails and just run, you know. It's like even like places like Nike and Adidas, they have, you know, Nike soccer division, Nike football division, Nike men's, Nike women's, Nike running. They have under one umbrella, they have different divisions, and their marketing strategies for Nike running is completely different than Nike tennis. So that's kind of the approach I'm going to take with my different stores.
I was just wondering, like, how long, like, you wait and test that product to see if it's worth scaling?
So
Your
yeah.
rules.
yeah, if you go in here, there's a formula, and that covers everything. Like when you
Okay.
ask, like when to launch ads, when to stop ads, when to like, how long should you test? Usually it's 3 days. And I created this formula after figuring things out theory. I figured things out over 6 months in a store called Outdoors Hiking, what was working. And I figured out that the least amount of money that you can spend to get the most results within a short amount of time was 3 days and $30 a day. So spend $30 a day, within 3 days, you figure out within those 3 days whether this is a hot product or not. Because within 3 days, you're gonna get add to carts, view contents, purchases. If you don't get any of those, and if you did everything correctly, then the product's not good, or your ad is not good, or your landing page is not getting them to check out for some reason. So you have to kind of trigger those things out. We're gonna go over all those things out as well.
Something to keep in mind though with the 3 day rule is I gotta keep in mind holidays.
Yes,
Stuff like
and
that.
that as well.
You
Yep.
don't want to do like
So when to
track your
launch.
3 days
Yeah.
during, and a lot of people won't be shopping.
Right. I like to launch like around Thursday.
That's my
Because
favorite day too.
yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like those are the best days.
Even Sundays, yeah.
Some niches are weird though.
But I won't launch on a Sunday. You want to launch at the beginning
Yeah.
of your hot.
Beginning of your
so
hot-
you go into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
You don't want
So
to launch
you
on a
don't-
Saturday or Sunday because that's the tail end of it.
Right. So like right now would be like probably what day is it? Friday. So right now would be like perfect time
Yeah,
to launch.
today's fine too.
You have to do a product that that's never been done before. You've never launched, and the product that
When are we gonna be doing it?
we're gonna do now.
Okay.
So we're gonna launch after step 4. So I want to get to
a new
step
store
4.
or just use the store? we
Any
got?
store that you can use anything you want, even your page pixels, everything. You can use your aftercart pixels, everything. So the whole point here is this a friendly little competition, but also we're gonna learn from each other while we're launching the ads. We're gonna launch these ads. We're gonna critique each other's ads. We're gonna say, hey, this is good, this is not good. Launch these interests, don't launch these interests. We're gonna go and critique each other's ads. But at the end of the day, it's all about, because we might not know what the profits are anyway, right? Because some of us might have surprises with like someone who bought like $200 of products and your profits are like phenomenal. So we're not gonna know that until we go out there and we try it out. So we're gonna do that here
So,
after.
wait a second, so, it's just on gross, we're not doing net.
It's net. So
Oh,
like,
it is net.
yeah. So you gross $100, but you spent $50, and your cost of goods is 25. You made $25. So it's based on net.
Okay.
So whoever's the most profitable.
So it's not if somebody puts a bunch of ad money down, that
No, no,
doesn't
no, no,
matter.
no.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. You can start with like a $3 budget, and you get a lot of sales, and yeah, you're the most profitable. So whoever's the most profitable within the 3 days. And now what I want to do is also, you have the stack now. What I want to do also, you guys ever heard of Napoleon Hill?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is like, I go by this, like this Napoleon Hill and his theory and his principles apply today, and they work, like Napoleon Hill's principles. So when you go out there and you surround yourself with just like-minded people like this, you surround yourself with the influence, you surround yourself with, for example, you go to like a fancy hotel or fancy dinners or whatever it is, you surrounding yourself with that luxury lifestyle, you eventually end up feel like you're belonging in there. There's this guy, his name is Ed Milet. You should write this down. Take a look at Ed Milet, The Passionate Few. It's an interview. This guy's worth over $400 million, and he talks about this. And in the next page here, I'm going to talk to you guys about his theories and how he was able to get to $400 million, right? Because you think about it, like for us, our mentality, our brains are the only ones that's limiting ourselves from what we believe we can achieve. If we're thinking we can only achieve this much, you probably will. If you're thinking that you can achieve a lot higher, you probably will, right? So the whole Napoleon Hill theory is that you picture something in your mind, and it's a big house, it's a nice car, it's a wad of cash, whatever it is. You picture that, and you go back into that 5-year, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week goal, and you picture yourself, how am I going to get that? How am I going to acquire this one thing? So for me, you guys know the story with the BMW and the Honda? You guys, most of you know that? No? Okay, so what happened was, when I first started this business, I had a Honda Civic, right? And long story short, I got that thing repossessed. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I had $200 in Maine, I was so depressed. And I read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. This was my first breakthrough. I read that book. Napoleon Hill says, picture something and provide services or products in order to get that something. So I took a look at this BMW every single day on Craigslist for the next like week or so. And I told my best friend, I told all my friends, I am going to get this BMW. And they laughed at me. My best friend laughed at me. He said, I don't think you're going to do it. I'll see you at the bus station and I'll drive by you and I'll like wave at you and like laugh. So that kind of motivated, that like pissed me off, right? I got so motivated that I told him, I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. You watch me. I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. I'm going to give myself 2 weeks because of Napoleon Hill's book. I look every single day on Craigslist, that BMW. I try to find out products or services that I'm going to sell to get that BMW. It was like $7,000, right? Within a week and a half, I sold the product and $14,000 net. I bought that BMW in cash, drove to New Jersey. He didn't believe me. Like his jaws dropped. He's like, I couldn't believe it. Like, you did it, right? And that was my biggest breakthrough. And then he's like, he was asking me, how did you do it? How can I do this internet thing? And then I taught him, and he was doing like $3,000 a month with eBay, right? So I was like, it's easy, man. What you have to do is you have to look at the Napoleon Hill theory and figure out what you want, and your mind is going to unlimit itself. It's going to unlock your mind. And I feel like it's very true. Your mind is like really limiting you to what you can achieve. And sometimes it's fear too. Like one of my earlier students, he was limited. Brandon, he was limited because he thought spending $100 a day was like a crazy idea, but he spent like $20,000 on an Instagram account. He didn't think that was a crazy idea, but spending $100 a day on ads was a crazy idea. So I had to break him from that. And a lot of students also, I have to break them from, you have yourself a winner, you know it's a winner. You're the only limit to letting yourself believe that you can't scale. You're the only limit. You're telling yourself, I don't want to spend money, and I don't want to make money. I don't want to scale. So I told him, just do it. His first $100 day that he spent, the next day he made $400. Okay, he then flew to New Jersey to meet me for 3 days. His $400 store, in 2 days, just like where we're sitting right now, in 2 days, he went, actually in 1 day, sorry, went to $1,000 a day. Because I told him, up this budget, up that budget, stop this, stop that, up this budget. And $1,000 the next day. He did that for 3 days. he was still there at 1,000. He was like, dude, we just got $1,000. Him and his partner, Victor. And then I told him, up this budget, same thing, right? Next day, $2,000. And then he eventually hit up to like $5,000 a day. And that was within the course of 30 days of just doing all this. And this is what we're gonna do today, right now, as well, with you guys. Like, I'm gonna take a look. We're gonna, and also we have a lot of successful students here as well. We're gonna go in and take a look at each other's. If you want, if you don't want it, that's fine. Don't. But if you want, you can have the help if you need it, and say, hey, this is the ads I'm running. How can I improve this? What should I shut off? Like, just within 15 minutes, Court, I went in there. You're like, whoa! I didn't realize that I was making money with this and losing money with this, right? And it was a certain age group that he was making more money with, and all the other stuff he was losing money in every single ad set. It was like it's not
like the
yeah.
gold and everything.
It wasn't a coincidence, right? Like, we saw that, I saw him like, hey, open all your ad sets, take a breakdown of age and gender. We found out that it was basically specific age people that were buying his products and specific genders. But you were spending money on other stuff, so your money was bleeding, right?
But how long has he been? How long has he been running the ads? Like, you wouldn't like.
Yeah, so you would run them until you have enough data. So usually enough data means like 20 sales, and that's like pretty much a baseline for me.
But what
I had
if
clear
it's
patterns.
In one ad set.
Yeah,
But
in
what-
one
in
ad
one
set,
ad
yeah.
set, yeah.
But he had clear patterns as
Yeah.
well in all of his ad sets.
Yeah, there
Like
was
he
clear
had
patterns.
like, I don't know, like 50 ad sets,
Yeah.
and every single one of those ad sets were like
My
boom,
robots were
age,
killing
age,
it,
age,
yeah.
age, like specific
Even
age
if they have
ranges.
like 5 or 6, but
Yeah.
all of them have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Like, just so you're gonna look alike.
And you see the
1 to
patterns.
10%, and even like you have 5 sales in each, but if all of them have, you see that it's generally all of them are going the same direction.
I like to see Shopify kind of like stocks or something. I don't
Yeah.
really know, but like more like graphs. If you're seeing the pattern where everyone is buying, then you know that's a hot stock, right? And it's like more of like the volume going up, then you know that's probably a hot stock. So if you're
That is
seeing
Shopify, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, it's like Shopify.
It's
so,
been-
so I like to see like graphs. So if I'm seeing the graphs are going like this, or I'm seeing the graphs are like this, it's struggling to get this, then I know this possibly could be a hot product, and I'm gonna put more of my money into it. It's kind of like the roulette table, but you know where it's gonna go. Like, it's like a magnet. You know where exactly it's gonna go. So basically, and I also want to touch on, in terms of you never end up doing what you originally thought you would do. A lot of it goes back into self-confidence, right? And it's basically confidence in yourself, and that you can trust yourself to doing these things. A lot of it is that. A lot of it is like, can I really trust myself to do this? Can I really trust myself to do graphic design? I can't. I suck at it, right? Can I really trust myself in doing customer service? I really can't. Like, I get fed up with customer service. I have someone else do that. So it's really self-confidence. Can I trust myself in scaling? If you can't, then you find your mentor and person who can help you with that, and see if you can scale. Okay, and say, hey, this is a good idea. This is a bad idea. So you go and do that. You find whatever it is that you need to do, and basically keep the promises you make to yourself. Like, if you're promising yourself within a month from now, I want to hit 6 figures a month in my store, you got to keep that promise. Whatever it is that you're going to do. If I'm going to promise myself that I want to launch 10 ads this week, then I better keep that promise to myself, right? If I tell myself I'm going to launch 10 ads this week, and I'm going to find out or 20 ads, and I'm going to find out of those 20 ads, and I have a 5% rule. If you did everything correctly, you should be able to find 1 out of 20. Every 20, you find 1 winner. If you did everything correctly, you're going to promise yourself, I'm going to launch 20 products, and I'm going to find 1 product that's a winner. If not, I'm going to launch another 20 products, right? We talked about with George the 80-20 rule with Pareto. For me, it's more like 95% 5 rule, right? So I'm trying to find like that 5% of winners versus that 80-20%, like the 20% of winners. I'm trying to find that 5%. So some people, they end up quitting at 20%, or 80%. They're like, all right, I tried for 80%. I don't want to try again. They quit. For me, I quit. I don't even quit. Like, even at 95%, if I'm not finding 95%, I'll go up to like 99%. If I have to test 100 products and find that 1 winner, I will, because that 1 winner will pay for all my 99 products. And that's usually what happens with e-commerce. And I want to talk to you guys about A, B, and C players. You guys know what that is?
No.
A, B, and C players. This goes back into like self-confidence, right? A, B, C, and player. A, B, C. So when companies hire, they're looking for A, B, or C players. An A player comes to work, they do everything, and they do more. They're not there just to clock in, clock out. They do even further than that. They don't even look at the clock. A B player, someone who just clocks in, clocks out, specific times. A C player is someone who clocks in, clocks out, sometimes misses, sometimes absent. You know, that's a C player. Honestly, where would you rate yourself right now? And how would you get to that A player? Okay, an A player goes above and beyond what they're expected to do. A B player just does the very bare minimum to get the bare minimum results. A C player kind of does the bare minimum, but even less than that. And sometimes, like, not always there, right? So honestly, where would you rate yourself now in the current stage? And where do you want to see yourself in the next week, next month? Do you want to be an A player? Do you want to be a B player? Or do you want to be a C player? And you take yourself accountable into that. Where am I right now? I'm more in between, like, sometimes I'm like the A and B. Like sometimes I'm like, some days I'm like a B. Sometimes I'm like an A, right? I would say 75-80% of the time I'm like an A, because I'm always like working. I'm working day and night. I work for the weekend. I work during the weekends, not for the weekends. I can see that the mentality with. I went to an Arnold Schwarzenegger event, and every single one of those guys, 7-8 figure guys, and they all had the same mentality. I asked them, how many hours do you work? Oh, I work like 80 hours a week sometimes. You know, do you work during the weekends? Yes, every single one of them. Yes, I work during the weekends. Now, if you're not working during the weekends, what are you doing? Sometimes I'll take vacation for like a few months, right? Some of them are like, yeah, I'll take vacation for a few months. I'll get off there. I met this guy from Australia. He's a life coach, and he works so hard. He works 80 hours to avoid working the 40 hours, if that makes sense, right? And so when you're at that stage, you've built this habit for yourself that you can't go back. You can't go back to it. Like, you can't go back to not doing anything. You've built this habit that it's a daily thing that you have to do. That essentially, if going back would just be a downgrade for you, right? But then again, you built this lifestyle that you can now do anything you want. So it's kind of like the saying, live like no one would today, so that tomorrow you can live like no one could, right? You can have that lifestyle. You can go and travel. You can do whatever you want. But you've created that lifestyle where you're working so hard that you can be able to do those things. Like, my wife can testify to that. Like, we take vacations 2-3 months, and we don't, like, I'll still be working. And she's like, why are you working, right? I'm always working. But we enjoy ourselves.
You can't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
You have to.
It's not because I have to. It's like, but I want to. Like, we went on a 7-day cruise, and we didn't have internet. I was so bored. Like, after the second day, I'm like, this is it.
How did you? Yeah, that.
Like,
would
she
be
forced me
hard.
into it. She forced me into it.
how
I
do you
actually grew some
survive?
hair up there.
Oh, you knew there was no internet?
Well, there was internet available.
But it was so bad.
Oh.
You just.
It was
I wanted to
bad.
spend time with family.
It was so bad. I was so mad too.
How do you survive?
I was so mad. I was like, we had no Wi-Fi, right? I couldn't work, and I was itching because, like, you build that habit, and when you're changing your mind, you're changing your
I'm
limits.
surprised you didn't check your phone at all
I
last
did.
night.
I tried.
No, last
Oh,
night.
yeah, last
when
night.
We were like, you didn't get it out.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I don't. But that's the lifestyle you build for yourself, right? You will have to build that lifestyle for yourself. No one's gonna do that for you. Like, you have to build that lifestyle for yourself. And whatever it takes to make that $2,700 a day, you do multiple things if you need to, multiple flows of income. The average millionaire has over seven flows of income, whether it's real estate, online, their business, a side business, whatever it is. The average millionaire has 7 flows of income. So you think about it. Like, how can I increase that flow? Or how can I increase that one thing that can get me to $2,700 a day? Whether it's Shopify, whether it's whatever it is. How can I increase the flow of that one thing? Even if it's one flow, $2,700 a day, now you focus on that, you automate it, you go on to your next flow. So Grant Cardone, he says seven flows. He has like 14. It's not 7. He's like he's got 14, so he's constantly getting new flows. He has like multiple businesses, so many businesses. So A, B, and C players. Okay, where do you guys want to be? Where are you right now, and where do you want to be? Really, realistically, where do you want to be? Do you want to be an A player? Do you want to be a B player? Or do you want to be a C player? Or are you any of those? And make yourself realistic expectations. I want to be an A player, so what do I have to do? Do I have to, do this? Do I have to do that? Whatever it is. So the next page here talks about, you guys remember Ed Milet, so I talked about a little about him, but this is his interview. This is just a breakdown of his interview. And I feel like it's very important to kind of go over this because I'm learning from this $400 million a year guy. He created this company called Fit something, I don't know what it is, but it's Fit, and it's like a Fit boot camp. And initially people were like, no, boot camps don't work, right? You have to create gyms. Like boot camps don't work, they'll never work. And he told them, no, boot camps will work, and I will make it work. And he has, I forgot how many gyms he has now. I think over 500 gyms. He said boot camps will work. And now he's like the original creator of like the boot camps, right? The fitness boot camps and all these other things. But this is his interview right here. Basically, for him, it's more about serving people in life, right? At that stage, in that level, he says, the more I serve, the more I can get back. The more I serve, the more I help people, the more it'll just come back some way or another. And I feel the same way as well. The more I serve, the more I help you guys, the more, whatever it is that you need me to do, the more I serve, it's the more value will come back. And it's look at Tai Lopez, look at Grant Cardone. They're serving, they're always putting out content to help people, right? They're doing charities. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. He raised like $50 million in California for this after-school event, and it's for everywhere all around the world. Like when I was in school, I used to go to these after-school events. It's because of people and entrepreneurs like him that made it possible, right? So the more you serve, the more value you're putting out there in the world, and the more it'll just come back. Jack Ma, he says, if you want to make $1 billion, you got to serve 10 billion people. If you want to make $1 billion, you got to serve 10 billion people. If you want to make $1 million, you got to have a product that can serve, or a service that can serve 10 million people. And that's what he said. Founder of AliExpress, Alibaba. Now, usually in any business, it usually looks like this, and Ed Milet kind of goes into this. He says, usually it's 1 step forward and 4 steps back, right? You're always 1 step forward, 4 steps back. You feel like you're always going back. But he says, don't ever give to the temptation to quit. Because a lot of times we get 1 step forward, 4 steps back, we end up quitting. We're going back to that figuring things out theory. You eventually figure things out, you start to pivot. So, and then he also says that communication is a transfer of energy, right? And that's very true. With mentorship, with anything like that, communication is a transfer of energy. It's not just, some people think it's just like a cheesy thing where it's like, oh, you need to read a lot of self-help books and things like that. If you read it and it doesn't transfer energy to you, then you're just wasting your time. But if you read it and it transfers a lot of energy into you, then it's effective. So if you're in something but you're not getting any energy into you, then you're just basically wasting your time. Why are you there, right? So communication is a transfer of energy. The more you learn, the more energy is being transferred into you. Like I get energy transferred from $100 million people, and that's what I want the energy transferred to me. Is I want that knowledge. I want to be able to know why they were so successful, their habits, and how they were able to get there, right? And it's what I've learned. It's all about the mentality. You change your brain. Your brain says wake up 6 a.m. You will wake up 6 a.m. You will do whatever it takes within 6 a.m. Your brain says wake up 6 a.m. and launch 20 ads. By 10 a.m. you've already launched 20 ads. Now, if your brain says wake up, I don't know, 5 p.m. launch 1 ad, and that's all you did for that whole week. You only had 1 ad launched, right? Versus you launched 20 ads by 10 a.m. in 1 day. Now you can spend the rest of your day doing something else. And that's also going back into M. Night Shyamalan, the greatest writer in history, right? M. Night Shyamalan, he says, be more effective with your time than busy. Busy is not good. More effective is good. So what he does is he spends the 4 hours of his time, the most effective time out of his 24 hours. That 4 hours, he's writing his best work, whether it's day or night, whatever it is that you are more comfortable with, day or night. If you're a morning guy, if you're a night guy, that 4 hours, he does so much work than if you were to just like launch 1 ads in a week, launch 20 ads by 10 a.m. That 4 hours, he's super, super effective. And those 4 hours is how he was able to write those books that everyone loves, and movies and things like that, right? And this is another quote from Ed, where he says, everyone is self-made. Everyone is self-made. But only the successful won't admit it. Okay, that's very true. Everyone is self-made, but only the successful won't admit it. I won't admit it, I'm not self-made. Ricky and Mike made me. And then before them, there was many other people, but they were the biggest ones in terms of 6 figures, 7 figures online. Ricky and Mike made me. And then he talks about being a business athlete and having mental toughness, right? Athletes train every single day. Like you take a look at an Olympian, they train, you take a look at Michael Phelps. Every single day, he trains. We have to build that same thing in our business mindset, in our business mentality. We gotta keep training, we gotta keep launching ads, we gotta keep optimizing. The more actionable steps that we take into our stores, into our business, the more results that we're gonna get, right? And another thing he mentioned is become familiar with places. Feeling, and this is what he used to do, feeling what rich people feel like, nice bottle of wine, visiting new places, surrounding yourself with wealth. You eventually feel like you belong, right? And that you need to do whatever it takes to get there. That you need to have that lifestyle, or you need, even if it's not the lifestyle you want, whether it's something where you want to surround yourself with like big houses or big mansions, you step into one and you kind of look around and you're like, I'm gonna buy this one day. I'm gonna live here one day, right? You do that, and the same thing with Napoleon Hill. You train your brain to doing that. Now you're saying, how much is this monthly payment? Like now you step into the mansion. How much is this monthly payment? What are the goals? What do I need to do to get that monthly payment? Or how much is this? Like how much is it total? How much cash do I need to buy this whole thing out? Right. So you surround yourself with that, and a lot of wealthy people, not just wealthy but successful people, they do the same thing. They surround themselves with people that influence them. Okay. Whether if it's like you're in your organizational group, like church or whatever, you surround yourself with these type of people. You eventually become like them. You eventually get that same knowledge, get that same the communication, the energy, get that same energy. And I feel like that's very, 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 very similar to what I was mentioning before when I was at the Arnold event. I was surrounding myself with celebrities. I was surrounding myself with people who own big, giant companies. There was this guy, he owns Buca de Beppo, right? Surrounding yourself with people like that, surrounding yourself with people who have made it and seeing what they're doing, their lifestyle. A lot of them, they give back to charity and things like that because they're so grateful for what they've gotten that they give back to charity and help others out, right? So you want to surround yourself with that. And how can I make enough money that I can give back to charity? Grant Cardone says it best. If you're not trying to be rich, or you're not trying to make a lot of money, you're selfish. Because he says it like this: you're selfish because you can't help other people. When you have money, you can help a lot of people. When you don't, and you're not constantly going after it, you're not able to do that. You can't go out there and help people. And I feel like that's such a true statement, right? Because look at what I'm doing right now. We have over 60 employees in the Philippines. These are people who need work. We also go out there and we feed kids in the Philippines, right? If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it all circles back into giving back into the community. Now, I want to teach you guys that also. It's all circles back. Whatever we're doing right now, I want you guys to circle back and give back. Like I taught Brandon that. He was able to build a 6-figure business, and now I didn't wear my watch, but I wore it last night, right? You guys saw it. But now he has this watch brand, and he's feeding kids with it. It's called 11 Watch Co. And every time you buy a watch, they send out boxes to feed kids because of that, the income that they get from the watch. So things like that, like if you're not actively going after it and blessing others' lives, I feel like that's like the pattern for a lot of people. They're constantly, that's the mentality that they built for themselves. I want to build this out so that I can bless other people's lives. And also you'll realize that as well when you have multiple VAs and employees and things like that. How I teach my VAs is I give them a vision, and this is why they work so hard for me, because I give them a vision and I say my vision is I want to help people. I want to be able to give people lots and lots of jobs. So you guys work hard and we build this company out, we're going to hire